I begin with offering my humble salutations to my Satguru, Sarv Shri Ashutosh Maharaj. Satguru Sarv Shri Ashutosh Maharaj Ji ki Jai, Sache Darbar ki Jai. The topic today is a story from Akhand Gyan, published under the column Nurturing Discipleship. The title of the story is Making of a Disciple. Doku was the son of a swordsman, but he couldn't win his father's confidence of being a good swordsman. So he was disowned by his father, who refused to accept him as his heir. Doku couldn't stand the decision of his father. Gripped by the feelings of humiliation and anger, he left his father's place in search of someone who could make him perfect in the art of swordsmanship. After a long hunt, he came across a master who was adept in swordsmanship, Manzo. Manzo had excelled in the art in all respects. Doku approached Manzo and said, "Master, will you teach me the art of playing with swords? I must tell you that I am not a novice in this field. I know quite a lot, but still my father has rejected me, saying that my skill lacks perfection. So I have come to you to become perfect in this art. Please tell, when would you commence this training?" Doku's impatience was clearly evident. Along with that was also evident his ego, which brought him an unpleasant response from the master. Manzo looked at Doku and said, "I confirm your father's assessment about you. You truly don't seem to be fit for learning this art. So I refuse to accept you as my student." Doku stood shell-shocked upon hearing these words, as if he was hit by both thunder and lightning 1,000 times. With stony eyes, he looked at Manzo. The master also looked at him and said, "You may go now." Once again, Doku was rejected. But this rejection was perhaps meant to mark the beginning of the removal of all stumbling blocks that lay in his way to perfection. Doku left the place, completely dejected and disheartened. His heart was crying aloud and craving for some shoulder to rest upon that could pacify his inner, devastated state. He sat under a tree, trying to peep inside himself to trace the fault. This contemplation and repentance yielded him the answer. He went back to Manzo. With tears in his eyes, he fell in the master's feet and pleaded, "Oh master, forgive me for my words. Be kind and teach me this art so that I can stand up to my father's expectations. Please accept this ignorant fellow who doesn't know anything but craves only to receive your guidance." The arrow of rejection had hit the right place, throwing an attack on the monster of ego that had seized Doku's mind and heart. Doku laid in the master's feet, crying for his refuge. Tenet number 1. For sadhaks, the disciples of a perfect spiritual master. Ego is a major stumbling block on the path of spirituality. It must be forsaken to receive the grace of the master. Manzo replied, "Okay, I grant your request." "Pardon me for asking one more thing," said Doku. "Oh master, my father is getting old, and so I need to go back to him after learning this art in the shortest possible time. I am ready to undergo any hardship whatsoever. In this case, how long will it take to attain mastery in this art? 30 years, Manzo replied. Doku was surprised. 30 long years? If I practice far more intensely and with utmost dedication, then how long will it take? 70 years, or perhaps your whole life, Manzo replied. Doku's face clearly expressed his confusion and inability to grasp the import of the master's words. He stood with folded hands, but his questioning eyes were repeatedly asking for an explanation. Manzo replied, "The answer to the why resounding in your inner being is that the one who is in a hurry, as you are, to get the results seldom learn quickly." Doku once again realized his mistake. "Forgive this ignorant one, sir. I surrender myself to you." Tenet number 2. Patience is an essential prerequisite to achieve results. For the Guru knows when and what is to be given to his disciple. Then Manzo said, "You will have to strictly follow as and what I say. I promise you, Master. Thus, from today onwards, it is your duty to cook the food, wash all the utensils and clothes, clean the hermitage, and give water to the plants." Without an iota of hesitation, Doku said, "Sure, Master. So go and take charge of your duties right now." "Yes, Master." Doku did not say that just for the sake of saying it. He did what he said. He dedicated himself fully in carrying out the order of his master. Day and night, he was seen engrossed in fulfilling the duties that were allotted to him. Only one thought echoed in his mind, that there should be no mistake in doing the master's work. And it was the result of this dedication and hard work that he never gave anyone a single chance to complain. But what about Doku's desire to attain perfection in swordsmanship? The duties that were allotted to him by the master had not even a slightest connection with the objective he had come for. No training, no guidance in swordsmanship by the master. Several months elapsed thus, and thus, during these months, Doku didn't touch his sword even once. Did it not give rise to questions in his mind as to what would happen to his dream? Did it not bother him that his time was not being invested in the subject he had come for? Did it not lead to suspicion on the genuineness of the master? Manzo's eyes were keeping a constant watch over Doku's inner being to keep track of the answers to these questions. But Doku's undivided faith and surrender in the feet of his master did not let him fall this time. Doku's dedication and surrender won the master's heart, who did not get to hear yes even once in answer to the questions that were meant to test Doku's faith. Tenet number 3. Hard work, dedication, and faith are the jewels of a disciple which enhance his inner beauty and make him win the love and insurmountable grace of the master. But what's that? Where Doku's dedication and surrender deserved reward from the master, there he started receiving terrific blows of swords every day. Every day Manzo would hit Doku with a wooden sword, and Doku tried to protect himself from the unexpected attacks. This activity continued for weeks altogether. Hardly a day passed when this strange thing didn't happen, but not even once did any ill feeling arise in Doku's heart for the master's peculiar behavior. After a couple of weeks, one day, Manzo called Doku in his room. Doku entered the room with folded hands, but his happiness knew no bounds when he saw a beautiful smile on the master's face. Manzo caressed him and said, "My dear son, today I declare you as the greatest swordsman in the world, as there is no stroke that can defeat you, whatsoever it may be. You have learned to defend yourself from every possible attack that can be made by the opponent. Now you can go to your father, who will be greatly happy to see a new Doku in front of him, perfectly suitable for becoming his heir." Tenet number 4. Always remember, even the hits and blows of the master are in the favor of a disciple. They are not meant to harm him. Instead, they are a blessing in disguise, which are meant to make him perfect.